everyone, this is Fantasy-esque, and welcome back to Season 2 of a Royal Clan in ClanGen, the Warrior Cats clan generator game. When we left off in the previous episode, we had a healed sprain with Magpie, and then a very cold rejection, where Magpie confessed her feelings to Quillrunner, and that didn't work out too well, because apparently, despite all the care he's been giving her, he didn't exactly feel that way about Magpie, is what he said. So things were a little bit rough on that end, but we also had the last patrol for our apprentice, Freezepaw, who has now had his ceremony and become a warrior, a royal warrior, and an elite among warriors as the Freeze Prince. So I'm excited to take a look at him. You guys might be able to catch his dark blue eyes by the medicine cat den and the entrance to the grotto. A very lovely cat. I cannot wait to take a look. But that aside, guys, I actually thought that the coldest season with Royal Clan would be quite difficult for us, but I feel like the cold season has been quite abundant and also very kind, unexpectedly kind to us. So we're going to take a look at maybe some of that kindness in a second. So first off, it is the second turn of Leaf Bear, and we are at Moon 70. So in the Leader's Den, we still have our peace with all the allies. Going to events, let's take a look. The Medicine Cat Apprentice from Liar Clan comes asking for herbs. They refuse to say why their clan needs them, and Royal Clan decides not to share the precious few rosemary, which I think is fine because we weren't exactly told why they need that. They might be just, storing the herbs, but if it really was something dangerous to do with someone's life, I'm not sure whether or not Fernstar would have made a decision in their favor, potentially, because we know the king wants to try and help the other independent cat group so that we can all live in peace. So I feel like he wouldn't dismiss someone's life that easily. And then the surprise, Magpie's confession of love to Quillrunner could have gone better. Actually, anything would have been better than the rejection she got. Oh my goodness, Magpie. She confessed to him 2 moons in a row, and she got rejected 2 moons in a row. It has been a long time since I've seen this level of persistence with a cat. I think the last time would have been in the earlier generations or the earlier seasons of Luminous Clan with I think Slopefleck and Grey Swipe, potentially. I might be remembering the wrong cats. I don't think so. But yeah, it has been a while. And Magpie, this girl is persistent. She is persistent. Maybe Magpie feels as though she can, in the last episode, I think Magpie actually spoke to Icicle Spec because she wanted his help with something. Maybe she wanted to clarify Icicle Spec's feelings towards Quillrunner, and Icicle Spec pretty much said that he doesn't have strong feelings towards Quillrunner. In fact, Quillrunner has maybe misinterpreted a lot of his actions. And after learning of that, perhaps Magpie felt that she needs to try and renew her efforts towards Quillrunner because she personally feels like there is something there with him, but maybe he's so kind of deep into Icicle Spec that he hasn't realized what's there in front of him. So she wanted to try again. She wasn't ready to give up just yet, especially after what she heard from Icicle Spec. But Quillrunner was adamant in his rejection. Magpie! How many more times can you do this before you finally get tired? And then, King Fernstar has been following the progress of Freezepaw for moons and feels that it is finally time for him to get his warrior name. He is granted the name Freezestripe in honor of his responsibility, and I have gone ahead and actually changed his name to Freezefur. So our apprentice, now warrior, is going to be known as Freezefur and also get the title of the Freeze Prince. And then, Freezefur was caught sharing prey with a kitty pet, who was chased off by a patrol. The clan has encountered Winston, who I have gone ahead and renamed Rain. And this is the kindness that I was talking about, guys, because Rain is a female! Rain's a female! So now we have another half initiate in Initiate Clan, kind of like I think Crunchy used to be. But Rain, she was never found by the clan, brought in, and then accepted fully. Oh, sorry, Initiate Clan? What am I saying? I'm remembering the wrong flippin'. I meant 7th clan. Guys. Have I been remembering the wrong cats? Is Crunchy even from here? I think Crunchy might be from our vampire clan. My bad, guys. I think I'm remembering the wrong cats. I don't think we have a Crunchy. I don't think we do. Yeah, I think that's... Whoopsies! That's from a different clan. Anyways, Rain. This is not Initiate clan. This is Servant clan. It's been a while since I slipped up. This is Servant clan, but we have a member of Servant clan who, yes, was chased off, but since we operate a little bit differently from the vampires, we'll say that she was chased off, but then maybe, who is it? Freezefur told the king that he came across a female kitty pet, and then the clan went out in search of her once more, and she was kind of asked to join, or, she was enticed to join Servant clan, accepted into the forest. So, yeah, now we have this beautiful female named Rain, who is a senior adult. She has pale green eyes, a Bengal pelt. She's 99 wounds old. She's charismatic and unusually strong fighter. So, guys, we have a backup female. We have one more female. And she's so pretty as well. So I really love that she has kind of joined Servant clan. Because now I'm finally seeing hope on the horizon, guys. I'm seeing hope for us. And then we want to take a look at Freezefur. Where is he? Freezefur! Guys, look at how cute he looks. He looks like a brownie or a chocolate cake, doesn't he? And he has his mother's sprite, which I think is so cute, and his mother's dark blue eyes. Again, just so cute because we know how close these two are. I feel like Flailstorm has been a really absent father. I don't know if I'm misremembering, but I've only seen Flailstorm and Freezefur interact with each other once, like really once. Instead, Freezefur usually spends all his time with his mother, which I think, is fine. I don't have a lot of sympathy for Flailstorm, but I feel like this is fine because Magpie, I find, is quite lonely, maybe. I know we said she's like Queen Bee because she's, along with Icicle Speck, like the most involved romantically with a bunch of cats, but none of that's really reciprocated, I think. And really, she's like trying to find something, but it's not really working. But I'm glad that at least she has a really good bond with his son Freezefur. So anyways, Freezefur over here, guys, has retained his strict personality and is a great kid sitter. In terms of what he learned, so he actually has only one royal bloodline from his father's side. Since he was the only apprentice in his batch, he graduated as the Freeze Prince. But in terms of what he learned, he was mentored by King Fernstar. King Fernstar influenced him to be more likely to use words over teeth and claws and step out of their comfort zone. When he graduated, he was honored for his responsibility. I feel like this is quite straightforward and straight cut. I think with him being, influenced to use words and teeth over claws, this was probably Fernstar telling Freezefur and expecting Freezefur to behave himself when he's out of his supervision, because he did spend a lot of his time as an apprentice outside of the king's supervision. And stepping out of the comfort zone is again that same thing where Fernstar, aside from I think 2 of the patrols, he actually kept sending Freezefur out with the other cats, particularly Foxclaw, to watch and learn. And maintain his kind of own self-discipline. There was nobody really there to spoon-feed Freezefur or to direct Freezefur in a, I think, traditional sort of manner. The king had these expectations of Freezefur, but also I feel like maybe took on Freezefur knowing that he had a personality that didn't require a lot of coddling. And so Freezefur was constantly exposed in his younger days to a lot of different things and different scenario situations, different cats. So I can kind of see why he might, be able to get along well better with particularly, I think, kittens, because himself as a younger cat learned how to interact with older cats and maybe what he expects from older cats when he's with them. So All in all, I think he got quite a well-rounded personality. I don't know if Freezefur is one of the cats who maybe has like the strongest sense of self, because even though he was strict, I kind of feel like Freezefur at times was quite shaky in the way he responded to certain situations and things and expectations, but at least he's made it to adulthood, you know? And I think maybe he'll start finding himself a little bit more. I think his greatest sense of security was probably from his mother. So it's kind of nice, though. It's kind of nice. But that is what we have for Freezefur, and everyone seems to be in really, really good spirits. Let's check out the medicine cat den. We lost some rosemary, even though we refused to give it to the other clan. I guess we used it up. And Icicle Spec could not find any herbs this moon. Do we have any rosemary? We have 22. We have 22! What do you mean we couldn't give it to... But then again, it is Leaf Bear. So I can kind of see how we want to, you know, secure our resources instead of sharing too much with other cats. Okay, let's see how our relationships are going. King Fernstar watches Inkfeather training for something and nods approvingly at her progress. Look at that! This is a neutral effect. I feel like he only gives her attention, and when he does, it's very lukewarm and bland. Like, there's no warmth in his gaze when he looks at Inkfeather, I feel. King Fernstar runs into Garlic Glow at the medicine den. They both have a tummy ache from two halves of the same prey. Scorchmoss thinks that Garlic Glow is very creative. Scorchmoss is impressed by Icicle Spec helping others today. Okay, so she has a good impression of these two mates. During the last gathering, Icicle Spec and Ghostfeather defended the clan against another clan's heckling. Icicle Spec and Freezepaw snarl at one another over something trivial, so this happened before Freezepaw's warrior ceremony. Garlic Glow asked Flailstorm to cover his mouth while he coughed, so Flailstorm coughed on her out of spite. Okay. Flailstorm nods politely as Inkfeather passes by. Garlic Glow has to help Shining Stripe stop choking on a huge bone. Shining Stripe doesn't like the way Ghostfeather interacts with a clanmate. Flare Freckle thinks King Fernstar is very polite. Flare Freckle spends time with Foxclaw, and they both end up understanding each other a little better. Bearpelt doesn't think that Flailstorm has been completely honest lately. When Bearpelt and Foxclaw realize they've been grooming their pelts the same way, they laugh about it. Frostfade gives Magpie a big piece of fresh kill. Magpie has a mock battle with her son, Freezepaw, probably trying to get some last-minute training in because he didn't do so well in the last patrol, and maybe he felt a little bit insecure about that. And then she confessed to Coolrun and got rejected again. Scorchmoss didn't put a lot of thought into an answer for Inkfeather's question. Inkfeather includes Ghostfeather in a conversation that Ghostfeather struggled to join. So she is having some mother-son bonding time with her favorite son. Coolrunner and Inkfeather keep talking over each other on accident. Garlic Glow makes a crude remark about the clan to Frostfade. Foxclaw and Ghostfeather keep making each other yawn. Okay, so these two brothers are spending time with each other. Foxclaw got a bunch of cats after morning stretches, they didn't like it. Shining Stripe explained something in detail to Ghostfeather that others wouldn't explain to him. Ghostfeather had a disagreement with Magpie over kids. That's kind of fascinating because they're not really involved in any way. Maybe they had a disagreement over like future kids of the clan and where the future kids of the clan would come from. And, you know, just the situation in general. Especially with the arrival of Rain, who is another female that now has joined Servant Clan. Freezestripe and Garlic Glow spent some time together and nearly forgot what made them upset with one another in the first place. Oh, sorry, Freezefur. So at this point, he's had his ceremony. Ghostfeather mentions that Garlic Glow looks good today, and Garlic Glow and Coolrunner share stories of a clanmate they didn't realize they both miss. Okay, and I love that, you know, Ghostfeather is having a disagreement over kids with Magpie, and then he goes and compliments Garlic Glow on how she looks good. So maybe Ghostfeather actually thinks or has hope that the clan is going to get the next litter from Garlic Glow and Icicle Spec, but maybe Magpie feels differently. Maybe that's the disagreement. Maybe Magpie feels as though the clan might get the next litter from Rain for whatever reason. she's not holding out too much hope that Garlic Glow is going to give them the next litter. So it's kind of intriguing. Or maybe she's saying something, not necessarily that Rain will give the next litter, but if Garlic Glow doesn't, step up, then there's always Rain as an option. Huh. Okay, well that's what we have for events. Let's cut things over here, or let's, wrap up and move on to the cat list. Okay, let's take a look at the cat list. So first up, we have our loyalties, which we need to check because Freezefur, of course, has become a warrior, and now he gets to decide whether or not he is in support of King Fernstar. And the answer is, guys, that no, he is not in support of King Fernstar. Freezefur has joined his parents, Magpie and Flailstorm, as one of the anti-loyalists. So now King Fernstar has 8 loyalists and 6 anti-loyalists, which means majority of the clan, like the royals, they're still on his side, but the number of cats who are kind of questioning his leadership is growing. But okay, that aside, on to relationships. Guys, I noticed quite a few new romances in this turn, in this moon. So let's go through some of those. Now, the first change that I noticed was with Garlic Glow. Garlic Glow has had a new romance, or I suppose has a new romance, with Flare Freckle. Flare Freckle! And I couldn't entirely work out why this might be the case. From what I remember, they've been having some clashes, but then, some instances of like where they work out, and I feel like maybe the things in between their clashes makes like the good stuff more memorable, because Garlic Glow, I'm pretty sure, was like rude to Flare Freckle in the last episode at the beginning of events, but then towards the end, Flare Freckle did something nice for her. And even before that, Flare Freckle kind of woke her up gently, and they go back and forth like this. They kind of rile each other up, but then they do something nice, they do something kind, and it, I think, sticks. So Garlic Glow has started kind of noticing Flare Freckle a little bit, and this is the first time she has deviated from Icicle Speck ever since she's come into the grotto, and ever since she's been mated to Icicle Speck. So I'm a little bit concerned, perhaps. There is that. The next thing I noticed was with Icicle Speck. So Icicle Speck has had a romance gain with Garlic Glow, his mate, which is no surprise over there. And, in the last episode, he fell in love with her finally, and he acknowledged that he was in love with her. Told her his feelings, made this very sweet confession, and a very responsible one. And I think it's become quite clear to me that everyone else that Icicle Speck might have been involved with in the past, he's kind of, not blindsided them, but it's almost as though he's put blinders on his vision, and he's now only focused on Garlic Glow, which I think is quite wholesome of him. The next thing I noticed was with Shining Stripe, who we keep mentioning through other cats, but we haven't actually looked at him because he hasn't really had a change. But guys, Shining Stripe, after eons and eons, has started a new romance with Foxclaw, the king's favorite son. So yeah, we know that he fell out of love with Icicle Speck in season 1, and then he wasn't really being affected in any way by Icicle Speck's efforts, I think. And then after Icicle Speck, broke up with him because that's what the clan required of them, Shining Stripe pretty much lost all his feelings. He's had this one lingering bar ever since then, but really it doesn't mean anything to him anymore. But finally, he's looked elsewhere. He hasn't really been interested in starting anything with anyone else either. But finally, for whatever reason, Foxclaw has kind of gotten his attention. So we need to keep an eye on these two. Especially because Foxclaw, I think, is also involved with Shining Stripe's brother Bearpelt. So I don't know how that's gonna go, but I don't think Bearpelt is as interested in Foxclaw as he is in Foxclaw's brother Ghostfeather. It's a bit of a web between the brothers, but you know, if we look at it from that perspective, but then like, I was gonna say, because Bearpelt likes Ghostfeather more, it would actually be quite nice, even like appearance-wise they suit, if Shining Stripe and Foxclaw got together, and then Bearpelt and Ghostfeather got together. It would be like the two brothers got with each other's brothers, you know, like it would be great. Or, you know, two brothers dating other brothers. That would be great. But Foxclaw's feelings for, or his interest in Bearpelt is kind of mutual, whereas Ghostfeather is not even acknowledging Bearpelt. So I really don't know how this is going to go. But Shining Stripe, I'm happy for him that he is finally, you know, looking to maybe seek love elsewhere. Okay, so that was another new romance. And then I noticed a change with Flare Freckle, who we also have not seen anything of really. We might have talked about her through other cats, but she hasn't really had a change. But guys, she has started a new romance with Garlic Glow. So it's mutual, the interest, the constant clashes, but then the sweet moments they've been having. It's mutual, and they are starting to feel maybe a sense of attraction towards one another, which has me concerned. Like, Flare Freckle, I definitely want you to be able to, you know, move on and have a mate, but I don't know if that's Garlic Glow, because I'm really invested in Garlic Glow and Icicle Spec being a thing, and being happy with each other full stop. Like, I don't want anyone coming in between them. Especially because their relationship is obviously very different to something like Magpie and Flailstorm. I don't know, guys. But yeah, Flare Freckle and Garlic Glow, they've started noticing each other a bit more. They can feel an attraction between the two of them. And then, surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, we had a change with Magpie. She has had a romance loss for Quillrunner. Now, the first time she got rejected, I didn't think it did much to diminish the affection that she had for him and her feelings for him, especially after, you know, she spoke to Icicle Spec and such. But I think that after the second rejection, she is maybe feeling a little bit discouraged by her feelings for Quillrunner, and since he doesn't seem to be returning it in any way, like she hasn't gotten any indication that he feels the same, I think Magpie is starting to think that she kind of cooked it all up in her head just on her own without anything from Quillrunner's side. And so, yeah, I can kind of see how her feelings would be fading a little bit because of the hurt. And the just general, you know, disappointment of it all. So that is what we have with the cats. And I think we can move on to our matchmaker Inkfeather to have another matchmaking session. So let's grab Garlic Glow and Icicle Spec, see how they're doing. Okay, trust, respect, romance, platonic like has increased, dislike has decreased. So yeah, Garlic Glow and Icicle Spec, they are continuing to fall more and more in love with one another. It's quite the interesting love story because they were supposed to be incompatible and they were put together in very desperate circumstances, you know, under very desperate circumstances. But somehow they've made it work and they've made it very easy, I feel, between the two of them. Made it very easy. Okay, so that aside, now let's go ahead and see what everyone's doing for the day. King Fernstar is sharing tongues with Flailstorm. Garlic Glow is humming a tune she heard near a two-leg place. Icicle Spec is wondering what the inside of a two-leg den looks like. Inkfeather is wondering if kitty pet life is really so bad. Shining Stripe wonders what Quillrunner is up to, his nephew. Flare Freckle is telling Flailstorm a story. Bearpelt is picking the burrs from his pelt. Magpie wants to go hunt. Quillrunner wishes he had wings so he could catch birds easier. Frostfade saw a two-leg kit playing with a kitty pet. Foxclaw is cleaning the clearing of snow. Ghostfeather is humming a tune he heard near a two-leg place. So he is currently hanging out with Garlic Glow. Okay, Garlic Glow and Ghostfeather. Freezefur had a nice chat with a loner outside Clan Terra Tree. Freezefur, if this loner was a female, can you please guide her back? to the grotto and the forest. Please, Freeze Fur. I know we have rain, which is really great, but you know, it would be good to have even more females as backup. Scorchmoss is feeling rather cross today. Flailstorm found a wonderful napping spot outside camp. And that is all we have for the cat list, so let's wrap up and continue with patrols. Okay, we are resuming with our patrols. We currently have 194.8 prey, and we need 40. So yeah, the amount of food we need is growing and growing, but thankfully we have been very lucky with the hunting and everything's been quite abundant. But okay, we don't have to worry about food. We'll send out Icicle Speck, our real physician, first off to see what he can find. As the snows of a leaf bear blow around camp, Icicle Speck eyes his herb stores. He should still be able to dig up burdock. Icicle Speck heads out to replenish the clan's stocks. Proceed. Icicle Speck's paw pads are nearly frozen, trying to dig up burdock in the cold, but he manages it, and it's worth all the effort and misery to know how crucial these fresh herbs could be for the clan. So burdock was gathered, and then we are going to have a patrol of 6 and a patrol of 5. And this is the first time that Freeze Fur is going to go out as a warrior, fully fledged royal warrior. So let's see what our king's right hand, Garlic Glow, decides for the patrols. Okay, so we have Freeze Fur, Garlic Glow, Flare Freckle, Magpie, Ghost Feather, and Shining Stripe heading out first off. Let's see what they get up to. While on patrol, Shining Stripe notices some suspicious paw prints in the mud beneath the canopy. Proceed. The paw prints lead to a trespassing rogue. Flare Freckle throws herself at the rogue, hissing furiously. But this is one battle-hardened trespasser, and Flare Freckle isn't as good of a fighter as she'd like to think. The rogue escapes her grasp and runs off further into Royal Clan territory. Okay, so we have to be careful because there is a rogue over here, which is not particularly good, because rogues means trouble. And they're definitely not one of the peaceful cats from, you know, the independent groups. So we're gonna have to keep our eyes peeled for that. And then we have Foxclaw, Frostfade, Quill Runner, Bear Pelt, and King Fernstar. So let's see what they get up to. King Fernstar flicks his tail thoughtfully. What direction does he want to take this trading patrol? Proceed. As the group splits up to practice hiding their tracks from each other, Foxclaw pairs up with King Fernstar. Oh look, some father-son bonding time! He confesses some gossip that he heard about another of his clanmates with twitching whiskers. King Fernstar stares at him, unimpressed with Foxclaw's rumor spreading. You should build your clanmates up, not tear them down. Oh, Foxclaw, you got told off by your father. Very, responsible of Fernstar, but then again, he is a faithful cat, and I think part of that is him having faith in the goodness of other cats, and the strength of the royals. So, very kingly of him. But okay, guys, that is all we managed to get done today. Now, before I leave off, I want to say that since we no longer have any kittens that we are raising, and you know, Freeze Fur is a warrior, he's an adult, I am going to be playing off camera until we get a pregnancy notice. And then we're going to come back and continue the story from there. So this is going to be good for us. Obviously I was, you know, slowing things down and sticking around because I wanted to put effort into kind of seeing Freeze Fur's growth and kind of remembering his childhood. But now that it is no longer the case, I think we can get a bit of a move on. And also I'm noticing, now that Garlic Glow is like by the entrance, her coat literally looks like the snow that's pouring in from the outside, and that is actually very, very pretty. But okay guys, with that said and done, I'm gonna leave off here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.